Nothing in this world is immutable. Everything is absolutely subject to change. This is especially true when it comes to bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder truly does present volatile life experiences. It's like a never ending roller coaster of ups and downs. One moment you'll be at the apex of the world's tallest mountain. I'm speaking metaphorically. You'll be the highest of the highs. You'll have this extremely euphoric mind and viewpoint of things. And then in another moment, you'll plummet, go on a downward spiral, and be at absolute rock bottom. And when you're at absolute rock bottom, that's where negativity arises, pessimism arises. It's where you start to feel like there is no hope, that you've been cast away from a life of normalcy, that there's nothing you can do. There's nothing within your power to change your life back to a positive trajectory. I felt that so many times since being diagnosed with bipolar type 1 with psychotic features. I was first diagnosed in 2021 during my fall semester of my junior year at university. Prior to being diagnosed, like everything was going so fine, and that's what deeply bothers me even to this day is I can't stop thinking about where I could be right now if it weren't for that one major manic episode. Now, for those who don't know, bipolar type 1 versus bipolar type 2. With bipolar type 1, it's when you experience longer, more severe, euphoric manic episodes followed by depressive periods. And episodes just tend to last a lot longer. Like mine lasted 6 months, my manic episode. With bipolar type 2, it's, I guess, more common to experience depressive episodes and with hypomania, where you'll have shorter episodes, you'll have smaller intervals where you experience this eclectic range of moods. You'll be on one end of the spectrum and then you'll be on the other, but they're generally more ephemeral. They're more short-lasting than a person with bipolar type 1 would experience in their episodes. For a long time, I actually didn't know the difference between bipolar type 1 and bipolar type 2. I just knew which one that I had. But because of the illness that I have, in order to live a successful life, I have to assiduously commit myself to understanding and accepting my mental illness. And by that, I don't mean letting it define me. I don't mean letting it have absolute power over my life and who I am as a person. That's not what I mean whatsoever. What I do mean is the first step in solving a problem is to acknowledge that a problem exists. And by acknowledging that I have bipolar disorder and accepting that it's a problem, I can then from there begin to devise solutions in order to cope with and mitigate the symptoms and severity of symptoms that I may experience as a result of this condition. It's so essential to have a plan in place with bipolar disorder. I learned that the hard way. I got caught off guard and didn't even know that I had the condition. I did get diagnosed towards the beginning of my manic episode, but the thing with mania is that it can impair your insight. It can hamper your discernment. And when your insight and discernment are diminished, making rational decisions is a lot tougher than one might think. In hindsight, it's easy to look back and say, I should have done this sooner, or I should not have done that. But when you're in that manic state, you're approaching with a different worldview. It's often common to experience grandiosity, where you feel supreme and better than other people. Feel like you're truly on top of the world and can't be stopped with whatever it is that you pursue. Any goals that you set yourself, you can absolutely achieve. You've already accomplished everything when you're grandiose. You have a diminished need for sleep, typically. And you go prolonged periods of time where you don't have any sleep at all, or if you do, it's in very nominal amounts, not enough to sustain the average person. Right? They say that, what is it, like 7 to 8 hours of sleep the average person will need in order to operate at their highest level of efficiency and reach their full potential on any given day. With bipolar disorder, manic episodes, sleep gets disturbed. That's exactly what happened to me. There was one period during my manic episode where I was awake for as long as 5 days. Just let that sink in for a moment. 5 days. Now, imagine going one day without sleep, 24 hours, no sleep. You probably been there. You probably know what that feels like. And you would probably agree with me that it is not a good feeling whatsoever. When you lack sleep, you're probably in a worse off mood, you're less productive, and more prone to making irrational decisions. So, when my sleep was disrupted, when I was experiencing these feelings of grandiosity, I was taking on so many different commitments and dedicating myself to so many different projects, and I truly lost sense of time. I would make these issues outstanding lists where I would enumerate 50 different things for me to accomplish in a day. And initially, I would accomplish a great deal of those things because I was, at first, sleeping normally. But with time, it started to overwhelm me. The stress started to get to me. And stress can be a trigger for mania. And once that mania crept in and intensified, I became less and less productive. I would honestly describe mania with the law of diminishing returns. In small amounts, it can arguably actually be a relative positive in the sense that it can make you more motivated to do certain things, and it can give you that extra boost of energy that you need to complete a task that you've been designated to complete or that you've assigned for yourself. But mania in large amounts, it's when you overdo that commitment. You become so committed that you can't complete anything. You commit yourself to so many different things, it's impossible to commit to and complete just one specific thing. So instead of having 1 to 3 completed tasks, you have 50 uncompleted tasks. When I was manic, I was organizing a campaign for sexual assault awareness. I was trying to organize a fundraiser for mental health. I was trying to improve relations within my social fraternity. I was the chapter historian. I was the social media manager. I ran for every single position on executive committee at the end of the semester. Now, someone of my character, who has my motivation, my aspirations, my ambitions, my work ethic, could reasonably perform 2 positions, especially chapter historian, social media manager. There's not a big time commitment there, but I made myself have a big time commitment there and devised a long list of distinctive tasks for me to achieve that semester. And some of them I did. I did organize a sexual assault fundraiser. I did exponentially increase the amount of followers to our social media page. And I gave comprehensive history reports on different past members of the fraternity who achieved things of significance. And I was very proud of the work that I did, and I still am. But I overcommitted. I did too much. And throughout my experience of being in my social fraternity, people would constantly tell me that I need to take a step back, that I'm taking things too serious. And while I was in a manic state, I perceived these as forms of disrespect. I felt like I wasn't being appreciated for what I did, which of course was antithetical to the truth. The brothers in my social fraternity thought that the sexual assault awareness project I did was phenomenal. It literally got me in the New York Times. I'm directly quoted in a New York Times article because of that project that I did. And they link to the project if anyone wants to check it out. Just let me know and I'll tell you what the article is. But I digress. Mania has so many disruptions to a productive life. Mania is fun until it is not. Overall, It's a profoundly negative experience because the consequences can be permanent. They can be life lasting for so many people. There are people out there who go through manic episodes that do not recover, that lose everything and then get nothing back, or lose everything and get some things back, or lose some things and never get them back. Everyone's experience is going to manifest differently when it comes to mania. Mine escalated rather quickly. I went from speaking fast, having lots of energy, and not sleeping, to having delusions of grandiosity and hallucinations that people were after me, and having phone calls with people that didn't even exist. I was not in a rational state of mind. And I ended up losing my full-time job as a marketing intern, which was making me excellent money at the time. I ended up losing my positions in the social fraternity. I lost every position I ran for on executive committee, and then got expelled from my social fraternity for the use of rhetoric against nationals that, let's just say, was extremely unbecoming of a brother, unbecoming of a gentleman. And I ended up getting expelled by my university, which I regarded for a long time as a second home. And I can't do that anymore because I'm not even allowed on campus until 2052. That is when my expulsion expires and when I'm eligible to return. Well, let's be real. Let's keep things practical. I'm not going to wait till 2052 to finish my degree. I cannot do that. If I want to be one of those bipolar success stories, if I want to live a successful life despite this mental illness, I can't just wait for that consequence to expire. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to transition myself. I'm going to have to transfer my credits to a new university and begin a whole new experience. Now, thankfully, it's not completely starting over, right? It's not like I'm going from, 100 credits to 0. I'm actually transferring that amount of credits over and will be able to finish my degree at a different institution. Eminent or not, I'll just be grateful for being able to finish my degree and hopefully secure a high-paying position that I can utilize to then take care of myself and my family, specifically my mother, in a way that lives up to my standards. I do adhere to high standards. Even with this condition, I know that I cleave on to high standards. I've always had high expectations for myself, and it's not that I'm trying to live up to those expectations for other people. I'm trying to live up to the expectations I set for myself, because I want to be proud of myself and what I accomplish. Where could I be right now if it weren't for this manic episode that transpired? If this manic episode never occurred, where would I be? I mean, think of it this way. I had a 6-month-long episode my junior year of college. If it never happened, without question, I would have had 2 more semesters of securing straight A's, followed by senior year of 2 more semesters of securing straight A's. I then would have graduated undergrad with a degree in communication. I then would have applied to law schools and ideally get accepted to one. I don't think I would have had any issue there. I think I would have got accepted to plenty. I would then attend law school. And for 3 years, I'd be doing that. And I would be on track to finishing my law degree in the not too distant future. But that's not what happened. I did have a 6-month-long manic episode. I did lose control of my central command center to the point where it impaired my productivity and presented a myriad of life-changing consequences. Consequences which I'm still trying to recover from to this day. One of those long-term consequences has been my weight. I went from approximately 180 pounds to 354 pounds in about 18 months after starting medications to absolve myself from the symptoms of mania. Now, to their credit, these medications did their job. They were effective in pulling me out of the depths of mania and restoring my sanity and presenting me back with my intellectual faculties. What they did not do is control my appetite. I started overeating. Once I gained my sanity back, I started to realize all of the things I had said and done were untrue, not grounded in reality, and I was embarrassed, ashamed, afraid of what people would think of me because of the things I had said and done. I regretted the things I said and done because they were cruel and they were the antithesis to who I truly am as a person. I do consider myself a person of benevolence. I'm someone who's kind. I'm someone who's smart. I'm not someone who, on a regular day, believes that he's a relative of John F. Kennedy. I'm not someone who, on a regular day, sends out garrulous emails disseminating pure, nonsensical, ridiculous claims to people of importance in my life, whether it be professors, former school teachers, friends on social media. The sporadic behavior that I experience, you would think that I was some kind of misanthrope with the way that I was acting. I felt like the whole world just didn't appreciate me and what I offered. And I was more audacious than usual. I took on so many things and it just overwhelmed me. So instead of thinking about where I could be now, which isn't a healthy thing to do, in my view, what I gotta start doing is thinking about where I was and how far I've come. Because my life is not the same as someone who does not have bipolar disorder. My life is not the same as people who do have bipolar disorder. Because, as I mentioned, it manifests differently in everybody. Everybody has different degrees of it. Now, mine, I would argue, is pretty damn severe. It's probably one of the more severe cases that you'll see in terms of the mania I experienced. But there's people who have it worse. There's people who don't have it as bad, but still had it pretty damn bad. And in order to make progress, in order to advance my ambitions going forward, I have to think in terms that make sense, that are grounded in logic and reason. I have to take into consideration the fact that I do have this mental illness, that it is a hindrance to my objectives, that it may impede my progress to some degree, but it does not mean that I cannot make progress. And just as an example, last year I went from 354 pounds to approximately 310 pounds. Is it as much weight as I would have liked to lose? Absolutely not. Is it better than losing none at all? Absolutely. I'm grateful that I've been able to get to the position I am now. And even though I just left a job, even though I'm still not in school getting an education, even though I still possess a significant amount of fear, doubt, and uncertainty, I do have some hope left. I'm not going to surrender my hope. I'm going to keep hoping for a better future. And you should do the same. If you've experienced the roller coasters of bipolar disorder like I have, whether it be depressive episodes, manic episodes, bipolar type 1 or bipolar type 2, understand that it's not your fault, and it is within your power to enact positive changes. And even if those changes don't seem significant at first, small changes add up to become large changes. Small steps add up to become large steps. Small amounts of progress is cumulative. You build up more and more and more, and eventually that small amounts of progress becomes large amounts of progress. So don't give up. Keep this quote in mind. It's one that I adhere to myself, and that is by President Calvin Coolidge. Nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. I love that quote. It's been the epitome of my life story. There's been so many moments in my life where my dedication to that quote has pushed me through so many hard times. It's helped me endure through so much darkness. It's helped me realize that it is within my power to enact positive change, regardless of the cards that I have been dealt. So thank you all for watching. I hope that you all have a wonderful day. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. And for all of the returning viewers, please like the video. And if you have any questions or you have any experiences you would like to share and delineate, feel free to put it down in the comments below. I do read all comments, and I try to respond to as many as I can. So I appreciate every single one of you, and I hope that you all have a wonderful and excellent day. Peace out, y'all.